Davina, and I am a Houston-based Lululemon ambassador, and I have been charged with sharing the stories and connecting with teachers from all around the world on Lululemon Listens. Today we have Alex Kaufmann from the Bahamas. Yes. Alex, how would you like to be addressed? Alex, Alexandra, Baja, what's the deal?
Ooh, Alex. No one ever gives me a choice.
They're like, you just gonna be this. All
Yes.
right. I love that. Cool. Well, tell us a little bit about where you're from. Do you still live there? Give us kind of a backstory.
All right. I am from the Bahamas. I am from Nassau, which is the capital of the Bahamas, but I am part Austrian. My dad is Austrian. So that's where my last name comes from. A lot of people get kind of confused. But yeah, I'm from the Bahamas. I still live there. Normally, I would be constantly traveling, but thanks to COVID, I have actually been there for the longest period since like 2 years now. So I'm there full time.
The COVID said, sit down, be still.
Yeah, yeah. COVID said, okay, you need to calm down now. Time to stay home, hone in.
What is your favorite part about living there?
It's my home, and it's what I'm used to. It's a place of comfort and relaxation to a point. Almost too much relaxation. But it's where I feel at home. It's where majority of my family is. It's where my daughter is happiest, so it makes me happy to be there.
Yes. And your daughter, do you mind sharing a little bit about your daughter?
My beautiful baby. My daughter Finn, she is 6 years old, going on to 25. She is an amazing, perfect, just ugh, amazing being, and I'm so happy to be her mother, so honored to be her mother. She teaches me so much about myself, about patience, kindness, understanding, and just being the best person and mother I can be. But yeah, that's my everything right there.
I love that. I've seen her on your page, and I'm just like, I want to meet this little one. I want to meet her, and I also want to just squeeze her and hug her.
She's super, super friendly, so she would definitely not mind that.
Look at that. And I do happen to know a little bit about your yoga story, but I do want to take us back to what got you into practicing yoga.
My horrible anxiety and self-esteem, lack of self-esteem at the point. I was pregnant with my daughter and just battling a horrible relationship that I was in. Anxiety, depression, lack of confidence, everything that kind of comes along with, being in a place that you're not comfortable or happy. And my boss at the time was like, look, you need to try some yoga. And I was like, nah. I tried yoga before and I hated it. It sucked. It was boring. It was bland. And that's just not my jam. And he was just like, Alex, you're going to try yoga again because there's different styles. And maybe there was something off about the class that you took the first time. So he started teaching me every morning before we'd start work. And I just got into it. And it was actually the first time in my life where it was something that I didn't procrastinate with. And I think it was, well, I know it was because the benefits that I felt from it, just that slowly beginning to learn myself and not feel like lost in where I was supposed to be. It helped me to understand my capabilities on the mat and off the mat, and then also manage my anxiety. So that's what started my addiction to yoga. I would literally practice for like 3-4 hours on end. Like I'd go upstairs and lock myself in the room and just practice, practice, practice. even though I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Like I was just like piecing things together, copying stuff off of YouTube, reading the books, and just like, okay, this is what it is. And I look back on videos now and I'm just like, what the hell were you doing? Like the chaturanga with some chicken wing arms and just going in, but just having so much fun and slowly beginning to learn the practice. So it just went up from there.
Yeah, and that's real. It's not about perfection. And as a new student, it's not about having to look a particular way or to put your body in a particular shape. It's really just that time on your mat and the connection with yourself.
Yeah, surprisingly and ironically, that didn't come into my practice until I started Instagram. When I started Instagram, then it was just like, oh, wait, I have to get these leggings and I have to lose weight and I have to look a certain way and I have to do all of these poses. I need to handstand now and I need to pike into handstand now. And if I don't do it, then I'm not a yogi. And it's so ironic because for a while in my yoga practice, when I started Instagram, that's just what it was. It was trying to fit myself into a box. And then after I realized, nah, that ain't it. That's when everything started to fall back into place.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure. And I think back in the day on Instagram, there were a lot of yoga challenges and it felt much like a community. And then it didn't. It felt like you have to be able to do this. Look at me, look at me, look at this handstand on top of a mountain. And it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, I remember that shift too. Like it was such a great community in the beginning because it was just like everyone's doing these challenges, everyone's helping with everyone out, liking everyone's photos and commenting, and it was just so happy and just perfect, really. And then it kind of just fizzled into, nah, everyone has to wear this, have this yoga mat, and do this. And
Mhm.
then I was like, ugh. And then even you'd slowly see all of like the small business leggings and mats just slowly fizzle out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like to see that transition and to look back at it and really realize what was happening is saddening to
Yeah.
see, especially when people are popping into the yoga scene now and they don't have that experience really. But hopefully slowly we're bringing that back.
Yeah. That's real. So you practiced, your boss said you need to go to yoga, you started practicing. What made you want to transition into teaching yoga?
Everyone kept asking me. It was, I mean, yoga isn't necessarily new in the Bahamas. We have a Shivananda ashram there, so it's been there since like the 50s, 60s, but it's predominantly used in the white communities, expat communities, rich communities. So when people saw me doing it, it was just like, what the hell are you doing? What? And then it was like people saw my transformation because I started off not flexible, couldn't touch my toes. So then leading into being able to do the splits, doing cool things like crow, people were intrigued and they wanted to learn. And I was like, okay, maybe I just become a yoga teacher. Because at that point, I had dropped out of university. I was supposed to be well on my way to being into forensics, but I couldn't afford university. So I dropped out, went home, had a baby. And then after I had my daughter, I was thinking about going back into university. And then I realized, you know what? Maybe I not put myself into debt and try this yoga thing out. So
Mhm.
I did a GoFundMe. That didn't go anywhere. I got like $700 maybe. And so we all know yoga teacher trainings can be kind of
Not
pricey.
anymore.
Not anymore, but back in the day, they were like $2,000-3,000, and I did not have that money. So I was just like, what the hell am I gonna do now? Like I want to do this now because I was so excited about it. And then this private golf club back home reached out to me and was like, hey, we like your look. We want you to be a yoga teacher. And I was like, but I'm not certified. And they're like, it's okay. We'll send you off to get certified. So it was really weird how it just all fell into place. And then I went off to get certified. And that's when I got surprised that my certification was in power yoga. He did power yoga that I'd never done before at all.
Mm. And how do you connect to power and hot yoga?
In the beginning, I did not understand why the room needed to be so damn hot. I did not get it. This makes no sense. I'm sweating and you want me to now balance on my arms. Like I'm slipping. Like I understand the whole sense of non-attachment and not focusing on the pose, but this makes no sense because you're setting me up for this failure. But in the beginning, it was like, okay, cool. I got used to it. And then, when you come out of teacher training, you got that one sequence and you just keep teaching that one sequence. So I was like, all right, cool. I guess I'm a power teacher now. But then after like 3 months, actually, no, when I got back from teacher training, my first yoga class was a private group with a pregnant woman, her elderly mother who had like arthritis and a bad hip, someone who was very much like into yoga, seasoned yogi, and someone who had never done yoga before. So I was like, universe, you could not have sent me a bigger test with my one sequence that I have under my yoga belt. So I had to use, funny enough, I had to use the things that I learned from like Shivananda and just practice it from Instagram and the things that I knew how to do in my practice. And I successfully made a sequence with these people. And then after that, I realized, you know what, I need to branch out. I need to learn more. So then I started investing in more books and more courses to kind of delve into different postures to create different sequences, and I am still doing that to this day.
You're in a teacher training right now, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Oh, and how is that teacher training going for you, Alex?
It is going great. I am in a 300-hour with Javina. If anyone does not know that, it is it's an amazing experience, but it's hard to be a yoga teacher for what, the past six and a half, almost 7 years, and have to unlearn things and relearn things and be okay with setting ego aside and setting everything aside to just be a student again. And it's a very daunting but promising experience, and I'm happy for it.
I am so glad that you said that on recording so that we can play this sucker back for you when you get in your head. Because really it's everything that you need to know.
Yeah.
And that unlearning process is it's not an easy one for anyone. It's
Yeah,
not.
I think you said something the other day to me. You're like, you see how long it took you to learn what you know now. You can't expect to unlearn that overnight. And the the Virgo and Scorpio in me is like, no, we need this to be perfect right now. So it's testing me and it's teaching me the importance of really just going along. The things that I teach other people to do is teaching me how to do it for myself.
Yeah. And I believe that you teach a lot of people different, like just different ways to show up as themselves through your social media. I mean, whether it is through body positivity, owning their sexuality, owning their boldness, their bravery, all of that. Will you tell us a little bit about your Instagram journey? You said you kind of shifted because you were like, no, I don't want to be that. How did you become who you are now? Baha. Yeah.
I started off with the whole idea that I need to have the perfect background for yoga leggings and a mat, and I was just like, I was forcing it on myself because realistically I didn't have space in my house. I kept just pushing stuff aside to make like this perfect like backdrop to like just look like a Instagram yogi. And then one day, my mom was just like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, you live in the Bahamas. Like, you live where people want to come." And you personally like to practice on the beach. So why are you cooped up in the house? And I was like, okay, you're making some sense here. But then I was just like, well, but I can't wear leggings on the beach. She's like, then wear a bikini. Where would you wear on the beach? I was like, okay. So I did it, and I decided to document it and take photos, and it worked. Like, it worked in the sense that I was in a place where I was comfortable. I was in a place where I felt like I was myself.
Mhm.
And it also helped me with my confidence, because I hated wearing bikinis because I was always kind of self-conscious about my thighs, about my cellulite, about my stretch marks, especially after having a baby. And it was a place where I could just be like, I don't care. Like, I am in a bikini, and it doesn't matter how I look, because I am doing this pretty awesome stuff on the beach, and everyone else is just here lying down. And I am working my butt off on this beach. So it doesn't matter if, my belly hanging out, or if someone see the dimples on my butt or whatever. Like, it don't matter. I am here, and I am in my best version of myself. And it also became a place for me to kind of get away from being at home with my partner at the time too. I was like, okay, so now I can just take this drive to the beach and stay there. But yeah, so it was great to just be myself and step into that that arena of just owning who I was, where I lived, and not having to fit myself into this box. And it was just at that point when I realized this is what I want to do. And I got a lot of flack for it, because people immediately just sexualized me. Like, oh, you're only doing this because of this, and you're doing this because of that. And it was so confusing to me in the beginning, because I was just like, why can't people see that I'm doing this because it makes me happy? Because it makes me understand how amazing I am as a person, as a woman, and how powerful I am as a woman. But it was always just that back talk of, you're doing this because of this, or you're doing this for the attention. And it got to me for a bit, and I paused, and I was like, maybe I should change. But then my mom was just like, people are gonna talk regardless. If they're gonna talk, at least be doing something that you want to do. Be doing something that makes you happy. And I don't care what anyone else say. If my mama say it's okay. And I tell people that all the time. Everyone, like, they'll give me hell for like what I post, and I'm just like, if you look, my mom was the first person to like this, and that's the only validation I need. If she messaging me and telling me this is a nice picture, yes, you killing it. That's all I need. I don't care what anyone has to say. So it was interesting. And to this day, I still get a lot of people that make preconceived notions about me and about how I am as a person, because I wear a bikini on the beach, which I don't understand, because I'm pretty sure everyone wears swimwear on the beach. But I guess it's just something you have to deal with as a woman.
Mm. Well, I love that you say if my mom says it, then we're good. Yeah, which is why I need to come to the Bahamas so I can hug your baby girl and meet your mama. Like that's just how that needs to go, and we will schedule a trip. Look at that. Uh, so, in the process of practicing on the beach and getting this attention, whether it was like negative or if it was people being inspired, somewhere along the lines, you ventured around creating some swimwear, right?
Well, I I've been attempting to do the swimwear line for about 4 years now, and I finally, finally, thanks to COVID, honestly,
Mm.
sat down and said, okay, this is what I want. This is how it's gonna look, and now I have the prototypes, and now let's get into the process of manufacturing. So yes, my swimwear will be out for spring 2021. Hope
Yay.
everything goes well.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole different ball game that I was not ready for. That business of like clothing retail is intense. It's something else, but it's my passion. So it's amazing to be able to have both yoga and the swimwear kind of play hand in hand.
Well, that just taps into the fact that you are an entrepreneur. A lot of people think, oh, just a bikini on a beach, someone doing yoga. What they really don't understand is who you really are and all the roles that you play. Will you tell us some of the roles that you play?
I get that a lot, and a lot of people will be like, this sucks to say this, but they'll be like, oh, I didn't know you were smart. Like, what? They're like, oh, I didn't know you went to that university. I didn't know that you knew about science. I didn't know you knew these things. And I'm just like, I am a multifaceted woman. And just because I wear a bikini on the beach doesn't diminish who I am as a person or the things that I know. But in this moment, I am a yoga instructor. I teach classes, workshops, I host retreats. I also I'm an entrepreneur, and it's so amazing to say that because I feel like I was shying away from that word for so long because I had that kind of imposter syndrome where I was just like, nah, you're not really an entrepreneur, but I am. I am. So I've started a bikini line that's debuting next year. I also, thanks to COVID, finally got into my love of gardening. And I have created a homestead company back home that's soon going to start dealing in artisanal goods and gardening gear, and also tapping into an online farmers market for the Bahamas. So that's a few things that I have up my sleeve.
You have way more than that because who does the admin, the marketing? Like, who does all of that for all of your workshops and your training? Who's the graphic designer? Who's all of that?
Is me.
Yeah.
I am front of house and back of house. I literally do everything, and it's a lot. It's a lot, and I don't realize it's a lot until I say it, that I do this and do that and do this, and then also until people ask me, so who made your flyers or who did this, and I'm like, me, and they're like, what? But aren't you also teach? I'm like, yeah, but don't you also? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's hard for me because I am very particular.
Mhm.
And I like things done a certain way. I'm extremely detail oriented, and it's hard. It's hard to find a team, and I think that it's one of those things that I'm going to work on for 2021. I definitely need to, because business is really expanding right now, whether it be the yoga teaching, the yoga recordings, or tapping into the courses that I'm doing now, the swimwear, the homestead company, the retreats. It's a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And-
and being a mom at the same time.
right. I was like, and your mom.
But it's amazing though, because my daughter understands. Like, she's so proud to see me like be who I am and be like doing my passions, and it's encouraged her to be like totally focused on the things that she likes. Like, I know I told you the other day, like, she's so hell bent on having a YouTube now because she's like, my mom's famous on Instagram. So, like, I told her, I was like, look, well, if you want a YouTube, you're going to have to write out like a shot list and, do your intro and everything. And I always said that because I was like, she's not going to do it. She did it.
Mhm.
She wrote out like her whole intro, what the name's going to be, what the tagline is going to be, what she's going to feature, her different series. And she was like, yeah, I see you do it all the time. And I'm just like, she's like, yeah, I watch. So it's just good to see that, well, to have her support. To have her support means the world to me, and just to have it like inspire her while I'm doing it is just like, I called her today and I was just like, how's your day? And I was like, a little stressful, not really doing my best today. She's like, well, I'm sure you did your best. She's like, did you try? And I was like, yeah. She's like, well, that's good enough. That's good enough. She's like, so you can just take what you did today and just build on it for tomorrow. And I'm just like, thank you. Just like
So sweet.
falling into the arms of my 6-year-old via FaceTime as she comforts me.
I love it. Well, it's also that the understanding that we can't be and do everything. We do need the people around us. We do need our support systems. And you have your mother, you have your daughter, you have your friends. And so it's like lean into that, especially in those challenging times. You also have created a safe space for a group of women to also lean in and hold space for each other. So I'm like, you didn't even list your aligned women's.
I know, and that's the thing because I have so much going on. Yeah, I created a collective called Aligned Women because I felt like women just need a space, man. And not only for the yoga aspect, but for a lot of things that people don't tap into, like the importance of sensuality and sexuality as a woman, and the importance of just tapping into mental health. So things like anxiety, depression, imposter syndrome, with a lot, which a lot of women deal with. And just to have that safe space, and from there to branch out into retreats and just creating that collective where women feel supported, listened to, held, and just there. You just want to hold space. And we just did the first 21 Days to Self journey, which was a success. It was just a group of amazing women that just came together and everything just fell into place. And I was so nervous about it because I've been holding on to the idea for so long. And I personally, I've always felt that maybe like I don't have the best friendships with women because it always tends to be so strained, or there tends to be a lot of issues. And I feel like a lot of that stems from the lack of space that we have as women to just be ourselves. And I felt that that was important because that's what helped me along the way. It helped me shy away from negative self talk. It helped me shy away from comparison, self judgment, and tap into who I was as a person, and to understand that I am me and no one else can be me. And that's amazing. That's a superpower within itself. And I feel like when it comes to aligned women, that's exactly what I want to push forward. That women are amazing, and you don't have to be like another woman to be amazing. You have everything within you to be a great, amazing superwoman. And that's just it's a great thing to be a part of. And I'm so happy because it's always been something that I wanted to do and tap into. And I feel like now is just the right time.
Yeah. And the world slowed down so that you could do all of these things.
Yeah. And people say that, like, oh well, COVID did this and COVID did that. I'm just like, yeah, but in essence, I'm grateful for it because it really gave me time to hone in on the things that I've always wanted to do. Because realistically, if COVID didn't come about, I would have just been running retreats and traveling all over, and I never would have sat down and said, now is the time to do Aligned Woman. Now is the time to start gardening. Now is the time to focus on the swimwear. And also now is the time to better myself as a yoga teacher. So it all came at the right time, but you know how the universe do.
Mhm. You're also in a very different situation than a lot of people in that, like, you don't teach in a yoga studio and you don't have to teach in a yoga studio. And so the way that COVID may have landed for other people, it just it just landed different. And I think what's cool is that you're not in that situation, you're not in that boat. Uh, and the people want to know. How do they how do they not have to teach for a yoga studio? How is that possible?
That's the $1 million question, I find. um, First of all, I'm super appreciative to be able to teach the way that I do, to travel and teach, and to make a good income from it,
Mhm.
because a lot of yoga teachers don't make a lot of money, and studios be tripping. they want they want a lot for what they be giving back. But
Mhm.
for me, well, I worked at that private golf and ocean club for about 3 years, almost 2.5. So I guess I've been on my own for about 3 years.
Mhm.
And that switch in itself was liberating.
Mhm.
And to go from, having people tell you what to teach, when to teach, and then also having people take money out of when you teach is kind of like, oh, wow, I actually get what I worked for. But I feel like that transferring over into working for yourself as a yoga teacher the most important part is to find your niche.
Mhm.
Finding your niche is key, because everyone and their Grammy is a yoga teacher right now. And I'm just gonna say it. And literally almost everyone is a yoga teacher. And you have to stand out. You have to look at the industry and see what isn't being offered. You as a yoga practitioner, what would you like to see? And see if there's a market for it. For me, I lucked out because I tapped into a market of, well, I'm people that want to travel, people that want to go to the places that I go to, women that are shaped like me and are just like, wait, what? We could do that? And also tapping into, the community of people of color, because we don't have a lot of representation in the yoga world.
Mhm.
And that was one of the things that really, drove home for me as to why I should become a yoga teacher, because I didn't see anyone that looked like me. And that's why I thought maybe I should lose some weight. Maybe I
Mhm.
should start looking like these other people to kind of be accepted. But I feel like once you find your niche, once you are happy with your niche, don't go finding a niche that you don't want to be a part of.
Mhm.
You need to be happy and passionate about what you do. And then you sit down and you figure out, how can we make money from this? And be honest with yourself, be transparent, be open and honest with yourself. In my career, I am figuring out the things that I am not good at and the things that I am good at. And the things that I am good at, I work hard for those things and I say, okay, so now I'm really good at hosting retreats. I love hosting retreats. I love it. It
Mhm.
is a passion of mine. I love going to different places, taking people there, sharing my experiences with them. And that's something that for me works well within my niche, which is how I've managed to sustain my yoga career, is through retreats, traveling for workshops and classes. So for me, ideally, it's traveling, retreats, courses, and a little Instagram stuff on the side.
On the side. I love that. I mean, I think that you said a lot there. You definitely said a lot. And as the industry is shifting, and especially during COVID, it's shook. The industry just looks so different in terms of not being in studios, not having regular classes. But it's like, but now's the time for you to like get out of there. Like the universe like made it possible for teachers to like, whoa, shift and like stand on their own 2 feet. And I think the other thing that's really interesting is how people can do yoga teacher training and then not realize that they are independent contractors, which means they are their own business as it is. Yet they then give money to yoga studios to teach at the yoga studio. And so, yeah, you have a course coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a yoga teacher mentorship coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm very excited for it because I feel like along my career, I've realized the things that I love doing, and I love helping teachers. I love helping new teachers because I feel like it's so important for teachers to find their own voice and to not be stuck in that one sequence that you learn from 200-hour teacher training to have, tools in your toolkit to create a practice that, you feel comfortable with, and also to create a teaching style that you feel comfortable with, that you can grow with, something that belongs to you. And to also help teachers find their niche, which, just as you said, to become their own boss.
Yeah.
I feel like that's important, and now is a great time to do so. There's so many different platforms where you can reach out and you can teach, and I always tell people it's just like someone out there is looking for you to be their teacher,
Hmm.
someone out there, and there's so many people in the world. A lot of people want to try yoga, and you might be the teacher that gets that one person to try yoga.
Hmm.
And so don't hold back. And that's one of the things that I just find so important with the teacher training, with the teacher mentorship that I'm doing. It's just to help yoga teachers achieve that voice, find their niche, and just be comfortable in who they are, not have to fit into a box.
Yeah, I love it. Well, with that, I am going to open the floor for questions. We'll have people put questions in the chat for you. And as they are kind of gathering their thoughts and organizing the questions, tell us where we can find you. And I mean, you have a lot going on. So, where do we find that? Like, where do we keep up with you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Baha Yogi. My website is bahayogi.com. If you are interested in waiting on my swimwear, you can follow me at Tingsy Swim, Tingsy Swim. And then also, if you're interested in my gardening, Baja Roots on Instagram. And then lastly, my Aligned Women Collective is at Aligned Women with an X, because all feminine beings are welcome in Aligned Women.
I love it. That's amazing. You have so much going on. Do you have a newsletter that's on your site for them to sign up for so they
Yes,
can like stay connected to all the things that are happening?
I do. I do. And I do that too.
She's like, I do all of, wait, I also do the monthly newsletter. I love it. Yeah, I think that a lot is we see with our eyes what's happening on the screen and think like, oh, this person has it easy because they have this many followers and they, they're Insta famous. And then to actually hear the story behind all of that is like, oh no, there's work that goes into this.
Yeah, I get that a lot. People are like, "Your life looks so easy and fun. Like you just post pictures." I'm like, "Yeah, not really, not really." But the work it's not work. It's still my passion. So I'm happy. I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to be a part of it, and I'm honored to be a part of it because not many people can say that they love what they do. Not many
Mhm.
people have that option. So it's definitely important for me to be grateful for every part of my career that I have.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. Kinga says, what is the biggest thing that helped you overcome imposter syndrome and move forward towards your passion? And how has finding your niche helped?
The biggest thing for me, it's really allowing myself to be happy in the moment, to be here in the moment, and to not worry about the past and worry about the future. I think that's when I get into my head about the things that I've done in the past or the things that I've done in the future or what can happen in the future. That's when I kind of fall into that imposter syndrome of maybe I'm not worthy of what the future has because of the things that I did or didn't do in the past.
Mhm.
But when I focus in on what I have now and be grateful for what I have now, I realize that I am worthy of everything that's coming because I'm here. I'm here right now, and I've brought myself to this point, whether it was good experiences, bad experiences, everything led up to this point of me being in this space, of being content in the moment. And there's really nothing that I can do to have control over the future. I can just be in the flow and just go with it. I know I told my aligned women that you're a river, not a rock. You
Mhm.
have to just flow. You have to just flow and be malleable. Like I do set goals for myself, but it's the importance is in being malleable and not allowing myself to be stagnant. If something doesn't go the way that I want, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not meant for me, or I don't deserve it. Maybe there's something else that I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And finding my niche has helped a lot because I know what my brand is about. I know what my platform is for. And it's something that resonates with me, and it's something that I personally am working on. So I feel like that's why it touches so close to home, especially on my Instagram, because as I help others with things that have helped me, they're also helping me. And that happened in my 21 days to self journey. Like, yeah, I was there to help these women, but they also helped me in return, because you listen to other people and their experiences and what they have to say, and then it's growth on both sides. And it was something that I'm super appreciative for.
That's one of the most beautiful things about transitioning from being a yoga teacher to being a teacher trainer. And then for me, moving into coaching is like you grow as you continue to lead others and share with others, you grow.
Yeah, and it almost, I find, like, I always say that even as a yoga teacher, you're always a student before you're a teacher. And
Mhm.
I've met a lot of yoga teachers that kind of feel like they're like this yoga superior where they just know everything.
Mhm.
And I feel like one of the most important parts about being a yoga teacher, to shift into that mentorship role, is to always be willing to learn and to always be willing to take a seat and listen to other people, whether that be, the person who's taking your class, the janitor who cleans the room for the class, the person outside, like everyone, always be willing to listen and hold space for other people, because that in itself helps you to grow.
Mhm. Yes. Janine says, how do you go about deciding what your niche is or finding them? That term is always so elusive to me.
Well, you think about what you're good at. Think about what you're good at, what you like to do, what brings you passion. Write it down. And then as you look at that, narrow it down to what gives you most joy. Take the thing that gives you the most joy and see if it's marketable. If it's not, you have to think about how much it means to you. Maybe it may be marketable in years to come. It may not be marketable now, and you just have to put a little bit more effort into it. But if this is your first time, I definitely would not advise going with that one because unless you really have that stronghold and you focus, go for it. I support you, but you want to find something that you're good at, that's marketable, and that also isn't heavily saturated. So once you find something that is marketable, look at the, for lack of a better word, competition, and see what it is that they're offering. If there's something that's missing from that you can add to that niche, even if it is saturated, or if it's just not worth the effort at all, because it would kind of be muted in the flow of things. So after that, then you test your niche. So after you find, okay, this is something I'm good at, it's marketable, and the niche isn't as saturated as I thought it may be, test it. Host a class. Say your niche is beginners. Beginners, but let's say beginners for pregnant women. So say that's your niche. So now you then host a class or teach an IGTV series and see how many people attract to that. Does that reach out to anyone? Is anyone asking for more after you taught that class? Did no one show up? If no one shows up, don't don't feel like it was a failure. Try again. A lot of times, especially on Instagram, the algorithm is another thing. Work on your marketing, try it again, and see if people show up, if people show interest. If you're working predominantly on Instagram, another thing that you can do, if you already have a following, you can put out a poll, see what people want more of. That helps a lot. And trust me, people will tell you what they want you to do. If they tell you anything, they will tell you what they want.
Yes, they will. They will. Well, Alex, thank you so much for sharing with us and just like being your most authentic self in this moment and choosing to go all the way in with us. I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to be with us. So I just want to say thank you and I appreciate you. And I am always so grateful that whatever I try to drag you in, you're like, okay, fine, Davina.
I realized that the other day. I was like, I literally just say yes. I don't even ask like what is it? I just say, yeah, okay, cool. I'm here. Just let me know what you need. But that's because I appreciate you and you have been such an integral part of my growth. I'm just like, okay, whatever it is, even if it makes me extremely uncomfortable, I'm gonna try. I'll do my best.
And that's how we grow.
Yes, definitely.
And then we grow.
Yes.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. This is the last of the Lululemon Listen series, and we appreciate all of you. Peace and blessings.